So today we're going to be talking about the 13 colonies. So when you look at the American flag, how many stars are on there? And what do they represent? So there's 50 stars, each one of them representing one of our 50 states. But this hasn't always been the case. When we first had our flag, there was only 13 stars, each representing one of the first original 13 colonies. So today we're going to be talking about the New England colonies, which was made up of the states Massachusetts, Connecticut, New Hampshire, and Rhode Island. So who are the New England colonies? Where did they come from? Why are they coming? Let's find out. So they came on a ship called the Mayflower, which you might have heard of before. So the Mayflower was basically a really small ship full of pilgrims coming from England across the Atlantic Ocean. They spent 66 horrible days at sea, and when I say horrible, I mean really horrible. Like, most of them didn't even make it across the whole journey. So they had really rough waters, a lot of storms, really poor and crowded living quarters. A lot of them were seasick the whole time. So they were very relieved once they finally saw land, and that's when they signed the Mayflower Compact, which basically stated that they would elect officials to make just and equal laws. So this was the kind of government they were choosing to put in place. So what's so important about the Mayflower Compact? Why is it something we still remember? It was the first document to establish self-government in the New World, which is something we still live by and follow today, which is really cool because this was over 400 years ago. So the first Thanksgiving, I'm sure you may have heard this story back in November, but we're going to talk about it a little bit more. So when the Pilgrims got there, over half of them died during the first winter. It was a very harsh winter, very cold. A lot of them didn't have enough food, anything like that. And without the help of the local Native Americans, it's likely that none of them would have survived. So an English-speaking Native American named Samoset was actually the one who helped them form a friendship or an alliance with the Wampanoags, who helped them and taught them how to farm and hunt and gather and things like that, because those Native Americans were familiar with the land. They've lived there their whole lives, and these people coming had basically no idea what they were doing. They didn't know how to farm on this kind of land and things like that. So the following autumn, they celebrated their harvest with a 3-day feast, and that was the first Thanksgiving. So who else was settling in the New England colonies? The other main group was called the Puritans. So this is the other main group that's coming to the New World and settling here in the New England colonies area. It was a group of mostly single, well-educated young men. That was the majority of them, and they were coming because they thought the Church of England, where they were coming from, needed to be purified. So that was their main reason for coming. So what's the difference between Puritans and Pilgrims? They sound pretty similar. So both of them came to the New World because they wanted to freely practice their religion. That was their main goal. That was their main reason for coming. The main differences: the Pilgrims wanted to just completely separate from the Anglican Church. That's another name for Pilgrims, is separatists, because they just wanted to completely separate. But the Puritans didn't want to completely separate. They just wanted to purify it. They wanted a more pure form of their religion. The Pilgrims arrived first, and the Puritans arrived 10 years later, and they actually had more people, so they came with a larger group. The Pilgrims were lower social status, not as much money, not as much education, things like that, and the Puritans were generally had a higher social status. The Pilgrims, the main thing they valued was hard work, and for the Puritans, they mostly valued a good education. So those are a few of the main differences between those, and that's just a little bit about the New England colonies.